Now I'm recording. I'm glad I got to the part where I said I was going to record it. Okay, so we missed part of the introduction, but so yes, I am now recording this. So if you can't make it, 1 month or want to rewatch it, we'll, have the recording available. And I am going to repeat that we are doing this on the fourth Friday of the month at 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain Time with a different host, different topic each month. So if you're interested in hosting, contact a board member. And I know not everybody has video capability in this Zoom. So if you have a question, you can either, like I said, type it in the group chat or something, or if you want to just, unmute yourself and talk, please introduce yourself. And even if you do have video capability, introduce yourself and then where you're at so everybody kind of knows that since they can't all see you. And then I think that is everything from me. So Erin, if you want to start.
Okay, so at our last telephone board meeting, we kind of were discussing what we could do. We were asking each other sort of questions, and we kind of just wanted to know what the state of Nebraska museums are right now. And so we thought that this would be sort of a great way to catch up since we didn't have our annual meeting. And I know a lot of people like to do networking or finding out what our peers are doing across the state. So we decided that this was going to be sort of a very informal way to find out how people are doing, how your organizations are doing, and basically what you're doing. I guess my first question is, well, we're closed right now, and we're sort of starting our planning to reopen. And I'm imagining that most of you are closed, but I know a couple of you may be open. So can I just get sort of a show of hands of who is open or never closed? I know like Margot didn't close at Cass County, but did everybody else close or did you stay open, or what were you guys doing through this so far? And don't all speak at once.
This is Jim Griffin. We were obviously closed, but it's been a great chance to catch up on a lot of projects, actually.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my other questions too. Yeah. But most of you basically were closed. You just never, if you were closed over the winter, you just never reopened, or we shut down, I think it was May 17th. I mean, we've been closed since then, but for the most part, everybody's been closed. Yes. Okay. I just wanted to kind of get an idea of where they are. So if you have reopened, like Gage County just said that they reopened, that's okay if you don't have a microphone. If you are going to be, have any of you come up with sort of a plan or are starting to plan when you're going to reopen, or have you decided when you're going to reopen, or is it still way up in the air as to what you're going to be doing? I know the regulations just changed. The governor just announced some different, we're entering phase 2, I guess. I've lost count of what phases are and all that. So does anybody have any sort of what they're doing, or if you've reopened, what did you do? Did you do anything different? Are you doing anything different? Wow, we've got a great talkative bunch today, don't we?
You know what? I'll do it again. This is Jim Griffin.
Okay.
So we are planning on opening June 1st.
Okay.
We've been fortunate enough to not have a whole lot of cases out here in Lincoln County compared to you guys back east. Our neighbors in Dawson County have had it pretty bad, but and so we're opening carefully. The biggest concern that we have around here with our other attractions is not having the perception that we are drawing in people from outside too much and causing people to think that we're the ones bringing in sickness. The last thing we want to do is give our museum a bad black eye for no reason. So we're doing it carefully. We've put out on Facebook what we're doing for safety measures, including your plexiglass shields in front of your volunteers, all your hand sanitizer, which, by the way, all of us smell like we drink alcohol all day long because we can only get whiskey hand sanitizer. But those kind of stations around the museum, and also face masks for the front desk people, at least when they're greeting people. so far, when we put that on Facebook, what we were doing, it's all been thumbs up. People have been okay with us. We haven't got anybody yelling at us saying, don't open yet. So we were really happy about that.
So are you going to be open your regular hours? Are you going to change your times? Only open certain, restricting your hours? I mean, have you talked about that? Or are you just going to be open your regular?
We're going to start out with our regular hours. And if there's no traffic, which would not surprise me because normally we'd have been open, a long time ago. And we've had our gates open for things going and coming, people working out in the village and stuff. And there have been nobody really coming into the village or into the parking lot. So if we find that we're not getting visitors, then we'll reduce our hours.
Anybody else?
I can go.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay first? If my internet goes, I'm in the bad part of the building, so I apologize. So I'm Katie. I'm at the Hastings Museum, for those who don't know me. We closed back in March when our schools closed. Most of us are kind of getting together. We just started talking about reopening. Our concerns are similar to James's, I think. We're only about 25 minutes from Grand Island. So we're worried about opening and then it's a 25-minute drive. That's nothing in Nebraska. So who's going to come? So we've talked about modifying our hours quite a bit, only being open a couple days. Then we have a day of strict cleaning. Obviously cleaning's happening when we're open too. We're also debating if we open our large screen film, if we're going to open our planetarium, what that's going to look like, because of course all of our seats are fabric. So how do we safely sanitize that? We've talked about masks a lot. We're super early in the phasing just because as a town, we're just now opening. And then we also so we're city owned. So just because we want to open doesn't mean we can. We have to get quite a few sign-offs. So hopefully we'll open soon. We're thinking probably the end of June. We've already switched to digital for our summer fun in June. So hopefully in July we can see faces and get some money back.
Hey, this is Matt Aran from Omaha Children's Museum. If you want to know where I'm at, I'm currently in my minivan in a parking lot. And that's why I don't have my screen on. But yeah, we kind of took a little different approach. We don't have immediate plans to open, and with the group size being only at 25, we feel that it's more realistic that as that gets up to group size of 250 would be when we could kind of realistically open and still be able to kind of staff the place and not do it at a significant loss. So we are kind of waiting and are not super optimistic about summer, and we're looking more towards fall. But we did decide to do our summer camp programs in person, and so there's only a few of us in Omaha that are doing in-person summer camps. We felt strongly that we could do that safely and that there was a community need. The families that had signed up before we closed in March, they weren't asking for their money back and they hadn't canceled on us, so we felt like that was a sign that they were still hoping that we were going to do it. So we're taking a lot of precautions. We're following some of the precautions that are set out there for daycares, which were kind of early. They were put out there pretty early from my understanding, and so we had some stuff to work with. So we're treating each of our classrooms kind of like a mini daycare. So we've got some guidelines from the DHHS that allows us to feel pretty confident that we can do it in a safe way. So yeah, we got the PPP money, which was kind of a great lifeline for a duration of time. And as that has run out, we've looked at, we've reduced our staff size, and we've kind of kept a core staff of back office staff and front office staff to still try to execute on summer camps, and then some additional, we're brainstorming on ways to still be out in the community, how to be relevant, how to serve our mission, how to serve kids, and then how to serve family units. What do parents need from us at this time? So we're kind of in the early phases of trying to understand what that would look like. But there is some demand in Omaha for outreaches and digital outreaches that we're trying to take advantage of and trying to partner with some folks on and kind of ramp up on that side, because I think for us it's going to be a little bit longer before we can invite people back in the door. So we're trying to, as my boss would say, make hay while the sun shines. I guess we're trying to make the best with what we're being dealt.
Okay, so that kind of leads in. Does anybody else have any sort of kind of what if they're starting to open? So that kind of leads into another question that I had is what are you guys doing? What were you guys doing when you're closed? I mean, I talked to the May Museum up in Fremont, and they were catching up on, he said, 2 years worth of back paperwork. So I've been working on putting our object cards into Past Perfect, and that lasted about 2 weeks, and I was, I had to stop that because it was killing my back actually just sitting in front of the computer. So, but what types of things have you guys been doing with this? If you've been at work, and I don't know if everybody has been, but what have you been doing with this extra time that you're not, don't have your doors open?
I'll start this one off.
Okay.
So for those that don't know who I am, I'm a new NMA member this year, but I'm Brock Anderson. I'm the Community Engagement Director at Trails and Rails Museum in Kearney, Nebraska. So just right down the road from Hastings, from Katy. But so we've been closed since March as well. And we've really redirected kind of how we've tried to interact with our public. So if you go to our website, you'll see that I've been trying to digitize as much as I can to kind of offer as an incentive to kind of keep us in people's minds as we continue down this closure. We probably set to open up June 15th, but that's always subject to change. But so yeah, we've kind of redirected kind of how we go about with community outreach and visiting with our visitors, our guests, or whatever, and that's all digitally. So that's one avenue. We're also considering doing a reverse parade on our property. So our Wagons West celebration that we normally have beginning of June, middle of June, we can't have because we have about 10 buildings out here on the property, and people can just kind of come and go into these buildings and do their little crafts that they do. Well, you can't do that now. So we're just inviting our guests to drive up on our access road, and we're going to have several of our volunteers dressed up as pioneers, 6 feet apart, and kind of have a wave and a souvenir baggie at the end that we'll offer to people at the same time. So we have our half marathon that we're in charge of, and it's really kind of hard to have a half marathon during a pandemic, but we've decided to make that go virtual as well. So we're going to have a virtual race, which means they can run from anywhere in the world that they want to, whether it be on their treadmill or out in the community or in Iowa, wherever it may be. So, and we've seen some pretty consistently high numbers coming in from our half marathon, despite not having it here at our museum race day. So once again, we've shifted kind of more digital and virtual and as much as we can. So rather than just canceling everything.
Jane Jacobson from the Museum of Nebraska Art, just down the road from Trails and Rails. And we are closed, have been closed since March. Working on lots of backlogs, filing in the object files, and all sorts of projects like that. We have tried to upgrade our social media, so we try to have something every day that relates to the museum and to art projects for people. During this time, we also have a new director, Nicole Hurden, and she came on board after we had closed. So she has not even been there while we've been open as a museum. So we're trying to get her also oriented, and keeps everybody pretty busy.
Well, what can you tell us about her?
She is from Boise Art Museum. She has curatorial experience, and she also worked in Arizona at a couple of museums. Her bio is on the Kearney Hub website. You can find it on there, and I think she's going to be great.
We've also pretty much just been doing a lot of digital. We started Museum Minutes, which are just like the really weird things about our museum that we've been sharing. We've painted a lot. I'm pretty sure our part-time staff is over it. So now when they come back, it's very bright when they walk in instead of the lovely 80s we had going on. And then a lot of it has been prepping. So obviously schools didn't really have much notice they were closing. So we were helping our teachers with local history and doing very impromptu videos for them. A lot of fossil talk and a lot of stuff kind of like that, just to help them out. So hopefully when they do open up again, they kind of remember us and come back in person. And then a lot of prepping. So I'm sure you guys all lost school season, tour season too. And then we're losing a lot of our summer season. So we've been working on our online classes we're going to be doing. And then collections has been slowly updating a lot of like what you were doing, Erin, with Past Perfect. And she's over it also.
Yeah.
She lasted about 2 weeks and it went to the intern. But yeah, pretty much just online stuff. A lot of very awkward time in front of a camera. Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, so along those same lines, have you guys done anything specifically to reach out to, say, your volunteers or your members specifically? I know a lot of I did a lot of web surfing this week, looking at various people's websites and Facebook pages and stuff like that, just to sort of get an idea of what people were doing. But are you reaching out to your members? That's a big thing with us. What we're trying to do is since our members are the main source of where we get our our funds and who we want to make sure that we keep in contact with. So we relaunched our website, which is worked out very well. But are you doing anything specifically toward those two groups, your volunteers and your members? You're not doing anything, huh?
This is Jim Griffin again. So, hey, someone's got to get it started, right?
Yes.
So the volunteers, especially the volunteers that come out and really help me with the manual labor, I've been keeping in touch with. And I'll tell you, quite frankly, I'm a little bit worried because the vast majority of them are up there in years, and they've gotten out of the habit of coming every week to help. And so hopefully with a little prodding, we can get that going again. But I think it's going to be a little bit tough getting them moving again. And so I know that they've been stuck at home and they're ready to get out of that, but it doesn't seem like they're quite ready to start actually doing physical work again. And then the other thing that we do is we've been trying to keep in touch with our membership as best we can. We were lucky in that we had North Platte Giving Day here not too long ago, and so that gave us an opportunity to throw out some information to our members and keep in touch with them that way.
This is Margot. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. This is Margot. I've been posting an artifact of the week on our Facebook page, and that's gotten a lot of comments from people. And we put out our newsletter in April. We had a good response to that. And like Jim said, our volunteers haven't been working. We've had very few volunteers coming in. I think they're a little afraid to get out. But we've been here working. We've had very few visitors in, just individuals coming in to, look up cemetery records or research their house or something like that. We had one little family that came in, a father and son and little boy. Other than that, it's just been individuals in. We've gotten a lot of work done here. I finally got a filing cabinet moved. I've been wanting to move for 2 years, and a china cabinet, and that freed up some space and storage. So Linda's been moving some photographs around and other files. So some objects were donated recently, and that's given Linda and I time to accession those and find storage areas for them.
This is Matt again from Omaha Children's Museum. We've tried to keep active on social media and doing a lot of videos to engage members and the general public, but we've also extended our memberships like a few other places in town have, just so that during the entire time we're closed, we'll tack those amount of months onto the end of their membership. So I guess I'm curious if other people are kind of following that same thing, or if the demand has been there from your members, or the questions have been there.
We're doing that at the Hastings Museum. Especially a lot of people, this is the time they renew their membership to get our discounted summer prices. So we've tacked on 3 free months if they renew to kind of make up for it. Thankfully, no one's been like too outraged about not being able to use the membership or anything like that. And we've had a few, when we called to cancel summer funds, that asked if they could just donate the money instead, which we were really thankful for. But we do think offering those extra months on the membership is a big reason why a lot are signing up again. They don't feel like they're losing anything.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is Libby out at where I'm at Lawrence and Gardens in Omaha, and yeah, we're doing the same thing. We're extending our memberships for the period that we're closed. We closed the middle of March, and we're just kind of keeping in touch with all of our members and general public via, you know, social media and things like that. But yeah, we're doing the same thing, and haven't had too many people get too upset about it. But you always have a few that don't quite understand why we can't open up. But hopefully we'll be opening up soon, and we can keep them all happy.
And Libby, you guys are doing summer camps as well, right?
Yes, we start our summer camps actually on Monday.
Yep. This Monday.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
starting
so
our summer camps on Monday and are actually looking at opening up on a limited basis on the 1st of June.
So are your summer camps in person then while you're
They
closed?
are.
Okay.
They are. And we're taking all the necessary precautions. We have a separate entrance for the children. Everybody will be wearing masks. They'll be getting their temperature checked when they come in the door. We're splitting them up. So I think we have 2 or 3 camps a day, and they'll be in separate classrooms, and so they won't mix with each other. We're kind of going by the same thing that the daycares are doing. And if they can go outside, then we'll send them outside and that kind of thing. But we're hoping it's going to work.
So going forward, and looking through, through the rest of the year, are you planning on changing how you're going to be doing some things? One of the things that we've come up with or come up against is one of our big fundraisers is usually held in June, and we're not going to be able to have that. So, but we're looking at postponing it, hopefully, to the fall. So are you guys sort of looking farther ahead and planning out what you may have to do, through the rest of the year regards to, say, fundraising or programming? I know everybody's doing a lot of digital, but have you thought that far ahead?
We have a little bit. We have 2 massive overnighters with scout troops that we do, and it's about 217 people plus staff. The original one actually got canceled in March because we closed like the day before it was supposed to happen. We're trying to stay optimistic, but also knowing a lot of that probably isn't going to happen this year. And some of our schools have given us the heads up that even if they do go back, they're not really approved for field trips or like going outside of their classroom. So we've been working with teachers a little bit about what we can provide them to kind of still maintain that relationship. And then really looking at a lot of our big money makers on, can we put them later, or can we modify it where like we still do the overnighter, but now it has to be 2 weekends instead of 1, and different things like that, and seeing how feasible that is. So far, it's a lot of questions and frustration and no answers. So.
We were scheduled to have our biannual fundraiser in April, and it's an art auction, silent auction, and then a live auction. usually bring in, well, not usually, we always bring in a large tent from Lincoln Tent and Lincoln, and it's a big gala. That had to be canceled, obviously. Fortunately, this year we had also decided to go to text to bid, which at first scared everybody because we hadn't done it before, although some of the other venues in Kearney have used it extensively. As it turned out, it was a lifesaver because since we could not have people into the museum, we were able to just hold the whole auction online. And we didn't have the live auction part, just the silent auction. Everything went silent auction. And Qtego was the company that we used. I'm sure there's others out there. It actually worked really easily. I'm sure that we did not raise as many funds as normal, but it wasn't a shabby showing anyway. So it worked really well.
It always takes a little alcohol to soothe that dollar out of the pocket, doesn't it?
It helps.
Okay, one of the things that when I was doing my web surfing that came up was regarding collecting. And I know that the History Nebraska has put out there that they're going to be collecting COVID-19 and coronavirus related items. Is anybody else? I think Sarpy County has put out there that they're going to be doing that. Is anybody else going to be considering collecting items from what's going on, and how are you going to go about it? And maybe the History Nebraska people can talk about what they're doing and how they're doing it and that sort of thing.
Well, I can speak on behalf of Nebraska. So for those who don't know me, I'm Jordan. I'm the registrar here. So can people hear me over that noise? I don't know where that's coming
Someone's joining that their microphone is.
I think
wonky.
it's K-Spot or.
Yep, I think I got it. I think I muted them. So
Okay. Sorry, that was
thank you, Jordan.
So myself and Laura and Trisha and then our digital archivist Lindsay, we kind of began the effort in early April. Laura and myself had already collected a couple things personally in mid to late March, and so we kind of took the page out of what the lacrosse library was doing, and then some other places had already done the same thing by doing it digitally. And so what we did is Lindsay put a couple different Google Forms together, and then we had marketing compile it onto their webpage. And so we give folks the option to create a journal, and they can come back and do it as many times as they want if their feelings and just kind of the environment around them has changed. And we asked quite a few questions, and we're actually going to meet next week about changing it now that things are kind of changing around us and things are starting to open again. And then we also have a children's specific one for those under 18. And that's actually the one we've had the best response with. It appears as though some teachers have shared it. And it's so nice because we've got responses from out west, and we do have quite a few from the southeast part of the state. So it's really cool to see how their answers differ. And then we've got an area for people to upload photos and videos and digital artwork they've made during the time. And we've had a really good response to that as well recently. More people are uploading photos. But we have recently had some press. We were fortunate to be on the front page of the Sunday Lincoln Journal Stars. That was really great. And Laura did that interview, and Laura also did an NEC interview, which was really cool. And we've been in some other newspapers around it. But we find that the best way to get results is to just ask. We have had to do a lot of this stuff personally. We just email people, call people. I bother friends a lot for things like, hi, sorry, this is random, but can I have that? But it's work, and so it's just are thinking about doing it, but are just kind of like a little nervous of where to begin. It's just like, don't even sweat it. Just kind of jot down a list of things that you want, and people are generally like really excited to be asked to be a part of your museum. So 9 times out of 10, I can guarantee that people are going to be like, yeah, that's awesome. What do you need from me? And so it's been a really good experience so far. We're still missing quite a bit. So Laura and I met yesterday on how we can try and fill those gaps. And so that's going to kind of be our next initiative, is getting those things that we're missing. But if anybody has any questions, I mean, I'm like super excited about the initiative, and I could like chat about it all day. And I'm sure Laura and Trisha and Lindsay, our digital archivist, has been a huge help as far as the digital aspect of it goes. So we are definitely here to assist if need be. That's all I got. I'm going to mute myself.
Yeah, and it will have to be kind of an ongoing process for us as things change. We'll identify new things that we want to collect and new topics. So we intend to work on this for a while. And then there's certain people that are so busy right now, obviously, if they're working in healthcare or things like that. So there'll be groups of people that we'll want to continue following up with in the future as well. So we're also thinking along those lines of who can we reach right now, and then what are the groups we want to reach out to a little bit later as well.
And as long as we've got people from all over the state, we might as well make the ask. If there's great things in your communities, go ahead and nominate them for our collection. We'd love to have, you know, especially 3D objects. That'd be great. So
I was gonna say, maybe Laura and Jordan, maybe you could share a few examples of the really great things you have already collected, some of your favorites.
Yeah, so some of the, I kind of call them like the stars of the show, are our more personal objects that we've collected. So one of the first things we got was a donut bag, which maybe some of you guys have seen. We've kind of talked about it a lot because we do like it so much. And it was just a friend dropped off a donut on another friend's porch and like wrote a little message on the bag. And it was a friend of mine, and I messaged her and I was like, hey, I really want that. She's like, I threw it away. Let me go grab it out of the trash. So it's like, you know, things like that people wouldn't even think is historical that kind of just like really easily fall by the wayside. We just recently got some signs from Mother's Day that somebody had put in their mom's window who's at an assisted care facility, so they weren't able to actually physically be with her. So that's really special. We've gotten a lot of t-shirts, some promotional items. I'm editing photos right now. One of them is of an auto place here in Lincoln where it's giving out rolls of toilet paper with each of their auto services. And so that's kind of a funny one that I really like. And we were able to get UNL they gave these boxes to the seniors who graduated this year, and it was just kind of like full of little things. And so they actually gave us a box, like one that they would have given to a student. And so that was really special. It had a mortar board and a tassel and an alumni pin and a bunch of other little kind of trinkets. So those are some of my favorites. So I can't speak on behalf of Laura.
Yeah, those are all really great ones. I've also enjoyed seeing how different businesses are being creative, and especially in the restaurant industry, they're really having to change how they do things, especially during the time when everything was mostly closed. So we've had some product packaging from different places. But some of the digital content that's coming in now to our website is really great as well. I know this week someone contacted us about video they'd taken when their daughter went to pick up her cap and gown the other day. We had a couple submit photos from May Day when they'd made little May basket goodies to drop off for all their friends. So that was pretty fun. So it's really great to get those personal stories, and we're trying to capture that in a variety of ways. And it's been great to see when people send us a little video or some photos and then do a journal entry, kind of sharing their personal story. Those are really fun to get.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so one of my last questions is that have you guys found any resources online relating to museums, relating to what's going on, relating to either reopening or how to care for the collections? Is there something that you found that you found is very helpful? Like I said, I was surfing the web on Wednesday, and I went to a whole list of sites, and I found a couple of them. Some of them were a little bit more out there. You know, they were for maybe a larger organization rather than a smaller one. But have you guys found anything that you think is helpful that you would want to share with everybody? Apparently haven't done any web surfing. That's pretty much all I did on Wednesday. Would you guys go ahead?
I have a couple of ideas.
Okay.
For people. I've been trying to catch as many webinars as I can, even as I'm just working on something else that's kind of menial, doing some typing or something, just to listen to what else is going on around the country. So the Museum webinars, it's CU Museum, they have webinars every week. I can look that up and put it in the chat so people can find those. And a lot of the topics have been about what people are doing digitally, what people are doing for educational programming, thinking about reopening and what's going to happen. So they have some really great ones, and those are every week they have a couple. And then AASLH has had a lot of great stuff too. And those are also recorded, so you can, if you miss it, you can go back and listen to those. So those are kind of two places that I've been finding a lot of good stuff that's changing all the time, so it's great.
And also the Texas Historical Commission has been doing really good webinars. And I'm taking one next week, and I'm gonna find it, and I think some others might find it useful, but just give me a sec.
And I was just gonna not so much cite a specific website, but I read something today about weighing risk and trying to figure out what your risks are. And I think that that's really useful both personally, but even more so institutionally. And so I thought I would just share real quickly, like the 4 different sort of levels of risk that this writer was talking about. First of all, there's relative risk, and that's the kind that we're used to weighing all the time. Like you think, okay, I'm going to get in my car, I'm going to drive to the store or wherever, but I'm also going to put on my seatbelt, because I know if I wear my seatbelt and if I drive carefully, then my relative risk becomes lower. So relative risk is just sort of what can you do to protect yourself? Then the next level is pooled risk, and that's looking at the risk of the people who are sort of in your pool, the folks that you interact with real regularly, and how careful they are or aren't adds to your level of risk. It's sort of like whether or not people are in a monogamous relationship. You know, if people are interacting with other people, then there's more risk there. Then there's a question of the cumulative risk, which is how many times you're exposed to stuff. So if you go to the store once a week, if you go to the museum once a week, if you go to the museum, to the bar, to the restaurant, to the store, to the you know, then suddenly your cumulative risk has become 10 exposures rather than one. And then last of all is the whole notion of collective risk, which is what people can do to try to lessen the transmission of the virus, even in communities where it hasn't been that great. I really appreciated what Jim was saying about worrying about the museum being sort of targeted as, oh, you're bringing all these people from outside. They're going to come to North Platte now, and who knows what they're going to bring with us. And so that whole issue of how we respond to the risk of the community as a whole is sort of another way of looking at that. So there's like lots of things that can add up in terms of trying to figure out what your risk is. But I guess my final question related to risk is, are any of you talking about requesting or urging or putting up signing for your visitors, asking them to wear masks?
Hey, I'll answer that one. So what we're going to be doing at Trails and Rails in Kearney is we are going to be trying to take as much out of the equation as possible. And we're kind of in a unique situation where we have tour guides that take people out onto the buildings and tour the buildings as well. So the plan is, as of right now, we're going to have some signs that say, have a pre-signs that say you're tour group A, and then they'll take you out. And then also, we're not sure if we're going to mandate that people wear masks, but we also have a plan that maybe we are going to have masks here in case we don't feel comfortable after those first few attempts to see. But we were trying to minimize like the traffic that we have in our Family History Center. It's going to be one way direction traffic flow. So trying to keep people in spaces as little as possible, but still kind of show what we have, and also maybe have some masks on hand at the same time.
Yeah, that's here at the museum. We're also doing directional arrows, that lovely blue tape you see everywhere nowadays, to keep everybody inside the building going the same direction. And also have masks available for purchase at cost for them if they want to wear them. Volunteers have to wear them. Signs up reminding people of social distancing, 6-foot rule. And then also wiping down, they can use golf carts here to get around the museum grounds. And so sanitizing the golf carts, only allowing the people that come to the museum together to be in the same golf cart. And so that's how we're working with it.
One of the things that I've read that seemed to pop up a lot was that when you do go to open, you post your guidelines, you put it out there what your expectations are of your visitors. So while we haven't discussed whether or not we're going to require masks or not, if you do, you should put it on your Facebook, you should put it on your website saying, this is what we're going to be open, but this is what we're expecting of our visitors. And of course, you mentioned the social distancing and that sort of thing, but that was one thing that tended to come up with a lot of these different things that I have been looking at. One of the sources that I found that had some really good information was the American Alliance of Museums. And there's an article about considerations for museum reopening that I found was very informative. And another one on that same site was maintaining museum excellence in the time of COVID-19. That kind of, it proposes some questions that everybody should be thinking about as well. But would you guys want us to sort of, I'm noticing that people are posting on the group chat, and that's great. Do you want us to put on, say, our website, some places where you can find information? Or are you guys, satisfied with trying to hunt it down at, your own on AASLH or AAM or MPMA? Or, like I said, do you want us to post it on our website, or what would you like us to do?
It's easy for me to say yes because I'm not the person who has to do it. So I guess we should defer to our webmaster. But the advantage of posting it is that there are a whole lot of people who aren't on this call, but who might be looking or we could
Mhm.
make, make people aware that it's there. And sometimes too, trying to wade your way through a particular website is frustrating or time consuming.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can definitely throw up an easy, just bulletproof list of resources and things, especially if other people are helping me pull it together. The trick is I'm going on vacation the first week of June, so.
Well, I have a list already started, so
Okay.
I can email it to you. But if anybody has, like, I didn't have the Museum down, but I just, this is just like
Yeah,
the
and
product.
I'm copying these here already, so I'm starting a Google Doc here. So everything people have already shared.
Perfect. So hopefully your job isn't going to be so difficult.
Hopefully.
Well, does anybody have anything else that they want to talk about, or any other questions? Because I ran through my list of the ones that I put down, and but open it up. Like I said, does anybody have any questions or?
I was finally able to get a haircut today.
Wow, jealous.
This is Matt. I'll mention that we did have some internal discussion about, as we talked about masks and what we would ask of our guests. So I agree with that, and kind of getting that out there early and on the website so they know what to expect, so you don't run into any confusion or problems with that. We also had some discussion as what our guests could expect from us, and so we've kind of had some dialogue about how do we post what our cleaning procedures are going to be, how do we communicate about what our capacity issues are going to be, and just thinking that it's some kind of social contract. We're asking something from you and we'd like to expect this of you. You could expect this of us, and together we're kind of keep the place safe. So as we put that together, we want to make sure we were going to hit both sides of that equation.
Well, I don't have anything else. So, did you guys find this productive? Should we do this again next month with a different topic, or? Okay.
Yes, I'm seeing a couple of nodding heads and
Okay.
thumbs up, and oh
That's
yep,
great.
there's thumbs up for Mary.
Anybody have topic suggestions? Can put the topic suggestions in the chat or speak up. Nobody?
Nobody has.
Well, I think what, I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel like I keep saying over and over again to myself, we're going to know more in a couple of weeks. And
Yeah.
I have a feeling that a couple of weeks from now, there may be issues that we're going to want to discuss, or that will be more critical to us than how things are looking right at this moment. I mean, because it seems like change is the only thing we can depend on at this point. So.
And maybe when it sounds like a lot of you are going to be starting to open the first part of June. So maybe the next time we can ask, how it's going with those of you who have opened, and how things have, if they've changed, or find what works, what didn't, that sort of
Piece of
thing.
advice.
Right. Exactly.
The ones that have not opened yet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that might be a good general topic of just, if you have reopened, what are things you have learned? What are pieces of advice you can pass on to the other museums who have not reopened yet? So
That's what I was going to suggest. So, nice.
Yeah. Is there somebody willing to host that? I mean, which really kind of, I think, entails, starting some discussion points, but, it's really kind of, this is meant to be more conversation based. So. And if you can't, you don't have audio capabilities, feel free to use the chat. So. Nobody yet? Okay. We can work on it too. So, I mean, if you kind of decide, afterwards, and it doesn't have to be just one person, like, Aaron was kind of in charge, this month, if two people want to, kind of serve as, co-hosts or whatever, that's perfectly fine too. Like, it's not just one person.
I might have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
It might be just worthwhile that maybe we all bring like a couple questions ourselves, and then offer that as a way of discussing as future discussions. So granted, you'd have to have your host who sets up the Zoom meeting and whatnot, but and people kind of directing whoever would be in charge of saying, hey, it's such and such museum's person to ask a question or whatever it may be. So that might be a route that we choose to go.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. We can make, sort of the theme next month be, for the museums that have opened, kind of reopening lessons. And, they can impart their wisdom on, on all of us. And there, I guess, doesn't have to be a specific host or anything. I mean, NMA, we have the, paid account. We can, host, lengthier meetings. We can certainly, of course, we'll still do that. But I guess, if we don't have anybody in sort of Aaron's kind of role next month, that's okay. So, and I do want to remind people that the next scheduled time is June 26th, the fourth Friday at 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So, and I'm sure, Karen can, remind people, get, the link out, to people again. We've set this up as a recurring meeting, but that doesn't mean you necessarily have put it as a recurring meeting in your own personal calendars. So, but I'm glad that, everybody has, enjoyed this and found it useful. And yeah, if you have suggestions to make it better, or other topics in the future, we are more than willing to take your suggestions. So this is just kind of a trial for all of us. So.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah, and try and spread the word too, with people, about this and stuff. Like I said, yes, we are recording it. It will be, available, on the website, but still it's great to, get people who are actually participating in the, kind of live meeting. So.
Thanks, Erin, for getting us organized.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually been a lot of help.
Good.
Good.
Great.
Well,
yeah, and it's just about 4 o'clock now, so we filled up our hour quite nicely. So thank you, everybody, and we will talk to you all next month.
Have a safe weekend, guys.
Yes, you too. Bye.
Bye.